Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's album review. Today, we're going to be reviewing Melodie, which is an album by Crow. So this one again was requested. Put it at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for the request. So, Brett, do you know anything about this artist, Crow? Nothing at all? Okay.
I know zilch.
Okay, well, I'm going to just share the screen with you. So what intrigues me about this album, or the the album and the artist, as you can see in the genre, it is classed as rap pop. So
okay,
that's quite a good thing, I think, certainly for me and probably for you as well. So I'm quite intrigued by this one. Second studio album by the German rapper Crow. It debuted at #1 on the German, Austrian, and Swiss album charts. So, you know, it had #1s on here. Look at this. In Germany, the song had held the #1 spot for 4 weeks. Second single, that was the first song, yeah, Traum. And the German, the second single, Bad Chick, was published reached position 9. So it sounds like, you know, there could be some kind of catchy tunes here, rather than sort of like hardcore rap. It's going to be more the pop side of things, which really is quite intriguing. So quite looking forward to it. If we look at the Spotify tracks, so the average length 47 minutes, 14 tracks, all with quite short names. They all seem to be with Crow on his own. I do generally prefer it when there are other artists involved as well, as we saw in the previous album with Cool Savas. But if Crow is good himself and he can sort of sing and rap, then that shouldn't be a problem. Obviously, track 2 does feature someone else, but apart from that, it is just Crow. So
there's quite a few English titles there as well.
There are, but I think in our experience, it doesn't usually mean much. It's still normally in German, but who knows? We don't know. So I think, like I say, I have put this down below earlier, but I think from what I remember, this was requested because they said it's not really so much, you don't have to worry so much about the lyrics, it's more about kind of the sound. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Quite excited. Don't want to get my hopes up too high, but Brett, what about you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, same. Be interesting. Yeah, to see more sort of pop elements with that. And I think even I mean I don't know what it's like for Germany, but I think even in the UK, you know, being #1 for 4 weeks nowadays is quite a long time as well. So no pressure on that particular song. And again, it'd be interesting to see, because I almost feel, because, you know, before when we started, I thought about German rap. I'll put it all probably under one bubble, but now even just from these, you can really see, I can really now start to see a difference with that. So it'd be interesting to see another different, interesting take or aspect to it as well. But again, keeping expectations just to the ground and see what happens.
Okay, so we'll be back with you guys right now to give you the album review. So guys, we've now listened to the album and we're now going to go ahead and review it for you. So I'll go first. So I thought it was all right. Difficult one because I kind of put a little bit of pressure on myself because of the fact it was kind of this mixture of pop and rap. So I kind of knew that I didn't want to kind of think I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself. So I kind of did anyway. I think one kind of negative from this is that I knew about this album for a long time. Like when it was requested, I checked it out and I knew it was pop rap. So I was quite looking forward to it for a long time. and I kind of ignored the previous album we did, which was Cool Savas, kind of thinking, oh, it'll just be another kind of same old rap. But I ended up really liking that one. So it's kind of like, maybe we hadn't listened to Cool Savas previously, I might have liked this more, if that makes sense. But because of the Cool Savas, it's kind of, I like that so much, it's kind of made me like this one maybe not as much as I would have done. So I kind of thought the background music, it's quite prominent, it's quite important, unlike maybe in, say, like Collega and maybe Genetic, where that's not always so important, where maybe the rapping is more key. I would describe it as sort of rap for kids, or sort of rap for beginners, as in you're sort of getting into rap and it's sort of like the first sort of stage kind of thing. So basically, it's kind of hard to kind of take seriously. This guy is like a real sort of proper rapper. Just, I don't know, just the sort of style of music it was. And so I possibly started to like it a little bit more towards the end. I'm glad this was requested, by the way, because it was another side of German rap, something a bit different that we hadn't listened to before. It wasn't completely my cup of tea, as I've already mentioned. Agori, the album from Cool Savas, was definitely my cup of tea. So I think the difference between the two is that, like with, again, I shouldn't really be comparing too much, but I will anyway. So Cool Savas and Agori, that album was, in the main, Cool Savas was rapping. That was his job. He's a rapper. And then they had someone else doing the singing. In most of the tracks. Whereas with this guy, he sort of does everything. Does the singing, does the rapping. Maybe that's not really my thing. Maybe that doesn't quite work for me. I think I prefer, as I said before in the previous review, kind of your Eminem / Rihanna. So you kind of need two people doing two different things. But it was all right. There was some decent tracks, some decent songs on there. I think there's one here that I definitely will download. So yeah, interesting, but not amazing. Brett, what about you?
Yeah, so interesting. I wrote the same points about if this had come before Cool Savas.
Yeah.
Cool Savas. It may have taken a different take on it. I really like your analogy, about maybe sort of an introduction into rap, so someone maybe getting into it, it's maybe a good starting block, potentially. Well, that's quite a good analogy. The best way I can sort of explain it on my side of things, it felt like, so no, I don't want to compare too much with like Cool Savas, but I think Cool Savas, you said, yeah, he wants to do on the rap. I think with Crow here, he's trying to please too many people. He's trying to put too much commercial pop into it, and too much rap into it, and it just doesn't work well enough. So he either wants to go more down the rap route or more the commercial pop side. And as we go through the songs, it probably makes sense to roll, which are more. So I think it's trying to appease too many people, maybe. Whereas I can imagine hardcore pop fans won't necessarily overly love this album, and then hardcore rap fans wouldn't overly enjoy. I mean, I could be wrong, that people might say differently, but that would be sort of my take on it there, really. And I agree with that point you made, that definitely as you get towards the second half of the album, it does get slightly better. But I think that's also because it's swaying more towards the pop side. I think the start's maybe more on the rap, but still trying to be poppy, whilst the end, it's almost, I kind of forgot it was almost a rap album.
He's sort of given up on the rap and just decided to sing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through the songs then. So first one, I Can Feel It intro. Sort of heard trumpets being played at the beginning. And then it was like, I Can Feel It was being sung by a woman in the background, which is quite good. And then it had this sort of strange spoken ending, but the song itself was so-so. In terms of the meaning, I did look into the meanings of these songs, not in great detail, but you know, to a small extent. I don't think there was any sort of great meaning in most of these songs. I would say this one was sort of about how great he is, as a lot of these rappers always like to boast about themselves. The line I took here was, Was? Du hast mich grad gedisst? Crow is doch kein Rapper. So what? You just dissed me? Crow isn't a rapper. And maybe that's kind of how a lot of people feel about him, like hardcore rap fans, you know, those who are into Collega, maybe Genetic, don't, maybe, I think I'm just making an assumption here, maybe don't like Crow because of his style. So yeah, that's why I took that line.
Yeah, so I thought a nice, interesting start. I thought, okay, this could be quite good. And then yeah, it was a talking. I tried to find the explanation of what was being said. I couldn't find it. So an interesting take. I saw the main line I put here is that not really a lot to say about this one. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. It was just what it was. And then the line I took from it was, other rappers have no words. My album is still hanging in their stomach, which couldn't quite work out what he was trying to say with that. Like they're maybe consuming his, even though they may not like it, they still consume what he's produced. That's as much as I can get from it, really.
Next one then was Minor Gang, Bang Bang. So there's a bit of English rap in there. Although when I looked, it was actually only one line. There's some sort of like sound effects or like bang bang sound effects, which wasn't bad. It was lively, but it just wasn't really my cup of tea, to be honest. In terms of what it was about, don't really know, just kind of silly stuff, really. The line I took was the one English line, just because it was in English. Ain't nobody fresher than my motherfucking game.
Again, this almost felt like carry on from the sort of first one. Classic again. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. The sort of best bit, I kind of quite like the ending and like sort of a nice effect to it. And I noticed there was a few times where he mentions just sort of names, reference to people, like for example Jimmy, but have no idea who he's meant to be, if they're meant to be celebrities or just friends, or what's the link with that there. And again, with a lot of these songs, you can't take too much from, and even a lot of times you probably didn't take lyrics from them because they just didn't do anything. But in this instance, like for this one here, I've just put, I don't have a gun, but shoot, shoot, shoot.
Right, okay. Well.
Maybe he's a football fan. I don't know. Maybe he's.
It could be, yeah.
It's like a riddle. I don't have a gun, but I can still shoot a football into a goal or something. I don't know.
Or it could be like with a camera, you know, like.
Oh yeah, camera shoot. Yeah, it's true.
Okay. Next one then was Erin. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Erinarang or something like that. Okay. So
nice.
It took 30 seconds to start. You know, there's a bit of music and it's only singing after 30 seconds. Had a singy sort of chorus. I just felt it sounded a little bit amateurish. It wasn't great. In terms of what it was about, I guess sort of starting with nothing, you know, humble beginnings, I suppose you could say. The line I took was, Sie sagen, du musst los nach Berlin. So in English, they say you have to go to Berlin. So I guess like to be successful, you have to go to Berlin, just because I guess that's maybe what they say in Germany. Like maybe, I guess in England, they might say, you know, you're up north in some industrial town and you want to make it big in any kind of profession. It's like, well, you need to go down south, go to London, you know. So maybe in Germany, go to Berlin.
Berlin, yeah. All the rap starts in Berlin. Yeah, I did have a lot to write about this one here. This is where I started thinking along the lines of, this is, what's it trying to be? Maybe it should be less pop or more rap, or less rap or more pop. I don't know. Like, for example, this song should maybe be more like I wouldn't say a hardcore rap song, but try and take away the pop element, just be rap, talking about your story, rather than trying to please too many things. So that's what I really put for sort of that one there. So it sort of went past me.
The next one then was Trail. And this is the big one that we read about on Wikipedia. This is the one that was, I think, #1 in the German charts for a number of weeks. So expecting big things from it. I sort of described it as sort of dancey, poppy, and rappy. Reminded me of Flow Rider during the rap part. Very Flow Rider-ish at one part. It took me a while to kind of remember who was this. It was like, this sounds like someone. I was like, I'm not going to remember. And suddenly it came to me, Flow Rider. It was okay. Probably one of the better tracks on the album. I'd describe it as sort of quite a fun song. Typical love song, wants to be with a woman. I didn't take a line from it, but yeah, I guess as well, something we didn't mention, I guess the lyrics in general aren't so dark as we've seen with a lot of like the other rappers and stuff. It's more kind of a bit more light-hearted. Yeah, there's talking about guns, I guess, a bit of drugs maybe, but nothing too extreme. Not like I'm going to rip your head off or any of this stuff, really.
Yeah, so exactly that. Fine for the album. Definitely no hardcore violence as it is, and it's more. So this is where I say this is starting to feel a bit more definitely poppy. Sort of, I always put it here, dance pop. It's almost more on the pop side of things than anything. I think Flow Ride is probably a good reference to that. It's a good cross there. Nice story about trying to find his dream girl, and I think that could be a theme throughout the album. I don't know if there's a bit of a longer story within the album. Definitely one of the better ones on there. I can see why it probably did well in the charts. And I think maybe if Crow maybe kept to this sort of style for his album, maybe it might please more people. I don't know. But like I said, I don't want to take too much away from him because he's obviously good at what he does. It just didn't seem to be our sort of cup of tea. The line I took from here, and no matter how loud I scream, she doesn't hear me, but she's somewhere right now and maybe thinking of me. So very nice, trying to find the one.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we're comparing to the previous rap albums we've listened to, I guess like they haven't really rapped much about sort of romantic things, like it's more sort of violence, drugs, I'm the best kind of thing. So different kind of take on the lyrics, I guess, with this guy. So Bad Chick was next. This sounded very familiar. The chorus sounded familiar. It's like they've taken it from somewhere, but I couldn't think from where. The chorus part, my chick is so bad. It's definitely familiar. I just can't picture it, can't quite picture it, which is quite kind of annoying me. But yeah, the chorus is quite good. As I say, definitely knew it from somewhere, or that sort of sound. There's like then a telephone part at the end where they just kind of stopped singing and just went onto the telephone to have a conversation with someone about his new girlfriend, as I understand. The intriguing thing here, look at the lyrics. I didn't write any particular lines down, so I looked at this one quite deeply, the lyrics. So it's like he's moving with his new girlfriend, and she's using a lot of his stuff, maybe being quite, what's the word, like controlling him, maybe a bit of a control freak. And then the police came round to his place and they were looking for some stolen goods or something. And he said, well, it's not mine, it's my girlfriend's. So I'm thinking, does that mean that he stole all these goods and then his girlfriend's been using them so much that he's just saying it's her stuff? Maybe I'm thinking too deep into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was what I was thinking. But yeah, that's all I can say about that one.
So I also found the song quite familiar. I can't quite picture it. However, I did put a note here at the start, really random. Do you remember the song Life is a Hive Pipe?
Yeah.
Vaguely. The start of it, if you re-listen to it again, kind of reminds me of that in a way. Otherwise, I found this was a nice change of music, different style. And as I said, this almost doesn't feel very rappy at all. It just could be a song, but sort of telling a story. I just thought it was a bit of a meh song, but at least sort of a bit different. It wasn't really much you could take from it. However, I did write the line here. She's so bad, she steals my tank. So I was trying to think and work out what the tank could be. But either way, steals a lot of things, uses a lot of stuff, but also his tank, whatever we want to assume that might be. I can't imagine an army tank he owns and she's stealing that, but yeah.
Okay.
And also, yeah, sorry, the conversation at the end. So he's talking about his girl, and then you think, oh, maybe the convo is going to be him talking to his girl, but it doesn't sound. It sounds like it's someone else talking, and I think it might be his dad's, because then there's reference a bit later on saying about his dad tells him he needs to grow up and do stuff. Just found it a bit weird. You would have thought it'd be fitting that he's trying to have a conversation with his new girlfriend, maybe arguing about the stuff's being used or seeing as she's been quite controlling. But yeah, it was just a man's voice. And I think, like I said, it could be his dad. But if you're listening to this and you know, again, let us know in the comments what the conversation's about.
Next one then was Never Crow Up. Old-fashioned sort of style of background singing. It was constantly sort of singing Never Grow Up. There was a bit of sort of vinyl disc screeching going on. Sounded very repetitive. In the end, I found it a bit tedious to listen to be honest. I guess it's kind of about how adulthood is shit, kind of doesn't want to grow up, starting to still like, kind of still in his old ways, kind of hasn't really grown up. The line I took was Genau scheiß auf Erwachsensein und den ganzen Kackverein. So that's right, fuck adulthood and all the shit that goes with it.
Yeah. Again, I thought at the start, I quite liked it. So I quite like when you take something unusual and make it work.
I liked it.
But literally, after 4 seconds, I was like, oh, already, this is actually quite annoying and repetitive already, which is a shame. So I said, I appreciate and like what he's trying to do, but I said it just didn't work for me. And I like the whole sort of, never growing up kind of take on rapping about. Again, it's not like blowing someone's head off, as you would say. Quite a few cool lines from this one. So I've taken 2 here. So one was about the kid's chocolate boy is like me. Beer is for old men. So I thought it's quite internet. And then when he says the line here, and I have beef again with the boss. Now, could that be Collega the boss, or could it just be his employer? He's a young kid at work.
Yeah, it was the employer, I'm sure.
Because he did have boss as a capital B as well, which was you can't read too much into that, I suppose. But yeah,
Collega would kill it.
Yeah, I can't imagine Collega's a massive fan of Crow. And quite interesting with Crow, because obviously in English we know Crow's like a bird, and obviously he's quite famous for having his panda mask.
Yeah.
It'd be, I don't know, from an English point of view, quite more interesting if he actually had a crow's mask rather than a panda's one. But I thought I'd just throw that in there.
2006 was the next one. So I described it as sort of standard music-y rap. So music-y as in the fact, it's sort of like, real music going on. It's not just rap. Strange ending with sort of sounds of lighting a cigarette or a spliff, just because it's that sort of scene. And sort of starting the car engine, and some sort of music tapes as well. So it's about sort of going back to being 16 years old in 2006, about his life back then. And the line I took was Schreib ich wie nie Reimmaschine, als war das die zweite Bibel, doch leider begreifen viele nicht, dass ich die Scheiße liebe. So I write like a rhyme machine, like it's the second Bible. But sadly, not many understand that I love this shit. So again, it's like, with a lot of these rappers, they all seem to be kind of isolated from the real world, from the lyrics, from what we've been through. So almost sort of sounds like possibly the same sort of thing going on with him. So he's sort of doing his rapping, he loves all that, no one really understands him. He's maybe a bit, not a loner, but I don't know, just like not misunderstood, perhaps would be the word, I guess.
Yeah, so I actually wrote that exact same line as well, and it's a really good point you made there. And I think this goes back also, I can imagine, his dad, because his dad talks about him needing to grow up and could have been him on the telephone call. I can imagine that's probably that I can imagine most parents being like, if your son or daughter's there listening to rap music, what really is rap music is normally about. I can imagine most parents, unfortunately, going, what are you doing? Listen to this. You can't just dream and hope you're going to be a rapper. And I wouldn't want you to. You need to educate. So I can imagine that's where probably this feeling comes from that he talks about. And then I wrote a comment here about that last 30 seconds, quite weird, just hearing a car engine starts and the tape's playing. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we had Cop Love. So the song is so-so, nothing special, but I was enjoying the lyrics. And then we had like a pure instrumental long ending. So I was reading the lyric, going through the lyrics at the same time as listening to the song, and I really enjoyed it. It was quite entertaining, sort of about a naughty policewoman who arrested him to have sex with him, basically. The line I took was, in tape deck steckt noch Tun von P. Diddy. Ich dreh auf Mach is laut full mich cool so wie Biggie. So there is still a tune of P. Diddy in the cassette player. I turn it on, turn it down, I'm feeling cool like Biggie. So any kind of reference to sort of, 90s musicians or just life in the 90s is always a good thing for me. So I like that.
Yeah. Like you, the song is again just a bit there, but once again what I did, I went through it, listened to it, and then went back to see the lyrics. So it's interesting you said, I kind of read it more that she was arresting him, and then it almost went into maybe his imagination that what happened afterwards, potentially, but I could be wrong. And he just then had a lot of love for the cover. And one of the points made here is that it's quite interesting to have on a rap album Cop Love, where normally it's fuck the police or down with the police. In most, it's almost like a whole different take on it. Cool little lyrics. I wrote to here. I'm going to play Al Capone. I'm fucking the police. And he's almost referring to that literally the case in some regards. And there's a line about, baby, do I get your number? And she says 110, which in Germany is the emergency contact, emergency number to call the emergency services. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So next up we had Hey Girl. This is a really interesting one for me. So this sounded just like Hey Ma by Cameron. Don't know if you know that song. Hey Ma, what's up? Not much. We'll get it on tonight. So it's a really well-known song from, I think, 2003, I think it is. Always like that song.
Yeah.
Always like that song. And this chorus sounded just like it. And I'm sure they've purposely done that. Like it's not just by chance. They've definitely taken elements from that song and used it, and they've sampled it in this. So the line I took was, und warst du heute in dem Club war Ladies Night? And if you were in the club today, I would be Ladies Night. The reason I took that line is because in the song Hey Ma by Cameron, I actually listened to that song today after this one to compare it, and there are lyrics about, I mean, being in the club and Ladies Night. Not the exact same words, but the same thing. So they've definitely taken it from and copied it from there. So as a result of that, because I like that Cameron song, I did like that. I was surprised to listen to it. So this would be the one song I think that I would put onto my playlist. As for the song itself, in terms of meaning, it's all about hypothetical situations. So in English, it's called second conditional. So it's all if I would do something. So that's what the whole kind of song but pretty much every line started with if, then I would do whatever. But yeah, interesting song. And that's the one I'm going to take onto my playlist.
Okay, cool. No, interesting. Yeah. Again, maybe if I heard that song, I might recognise it. But off the top of my head, I don't, which is unusual for me. So maybe I need to have a listen to that as well. I actually didn't mind the tune in this one. That's probably because it's been taken from somewhere else. Again, it didn't feel too poppy enough or rappy at all. Almost just was, it could have been just a standard song, really. And what I liked most about the song was definitely the lyrics. I liked the whole sort of "if you were" kind of thing. So I wrote down a couple of them. Not necessarily my absolute favourite. They just sort of stood out of all of them. So, if you were porn, I'd be a moustache.
If you were poor, I'd be a moustache.
No, if you were porn, P-O-R-N. If you were porn, I'd be a moustache. If you were perm, I would be the 80s. And if you were fast food, I would have a big ass. So like I said, they're not necessarily my absolute favourites from there. I said there was loads I thought they were quite good. But yeah, the best thing about that was the lyrics, really.
Okay, next up we had Rennen, which means run. So right at the beginning, it had this sort of 90s instrumental feel. And then brackets, I put Honeys, the 90s group, the Honeys, pop group, R&B. Just the instrumental side of things at the beginning, just kind of gave me that feel. I described this song as a sort of slow, lazy style, all sort of very low key. Didn't enjoy it, to be honest. In terms of what does it mean, sort of getting away from things, running away from problems. And the line I took was "Und der Ghetto Blaster spielt noch, it's a hard knock life." So the Ghetto Blaster still plays "It's a Hard Knock Life." So again, some kind of like reference to some older music there. So I took that.
Yeah. This was strange. So again, I thought there's real potential for this one. Again, the sort of background music and the rapping didn't quite work. So even though it was slow, the background music was also slow, but not enough to fit with the rap. It's really hard to explain, but it didn't mesh well enough for me, which is saying I think there could have been good potential with that. And as you say, he was obviously talking about, when things get too much, getting away from it all, and sort of rather be at home. And at this point, we're thinking, I was trying to work out, since I said there's more meaning to the album. Is he in a relationship at this point? Is he also referring to this relationship he's in? It's getting too much as well. He needs time away. So the line I sort of wrote here, but I prefer this one instead of the 1000th hoe. So I don't know if he's then talking about actually just relaxing at home when he says, I prefer this, relaxing at home, or his girlfriends they now may or may not have. So again, if you know, listen, feel free to put those in the comments. It'd be interesting to find out.
Next up was Vielleicht, which means maybe. So it took 52 seconds to actually start. It's a long time. It's sort of a quite chilled out style. The chorus wasn't bad. It was all right. So I guess it was about love, sort of can things work out. There was no particular line that stuck out. It wasn't really that type of song. I mean, it was more of a kind of song than it was rap, I guess. So yeah, just nothing for me to really take in terms of lines.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's what I'm saying. It's almost meets in the mid. It sort of gets lost in some ways. Really long intro. I think if you really listen faintly, you can hear a little bit of what I've put here as sort of spa music. And if you thought the song before was slow, this one's even slower. And actually, I found it quite relaxing. I actually quite like this one. And I said it made me totally forget I was actually I'm meant to be listening to a rap album. I know it's meant to be rap/pop, but technically a rap album. And despite all that, again, without understanding the lyrics that are in German, I could actually listen to that in a spa scenario. Like I said, I found it really relaxing. again, couldn't really take lines from it. I have put down here, easy to lose, but what's he referring to? Is he missing his girlfriend? Because it talks about arguments. Is that what it's reference to? We're both too young. We're both idiots. I need to let her go. So there's all these different, there are different parts of different lines. So what we're saying, his hands from now is almost trying to get away from the breaking off the relationship, which I think kind of happens as we go into the next tracks, I think. But yeah, quite liked it. Nice bar music.
Next one was Jetzt, which means now. So this one was like completely different. This just was really fast, high tempo. So such a contrast from the previous two songs. It's got quite a nice meaning, I guess. Sort of don't put things off. Do them now. Don't say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Do it now. So the line I took was Dabei merkst du leider nicht, dass dieses später eigentlich jetzt ist. So it's a shame that you don't recognize that this later is actually now.
Yeah, I can't add much more to that. Again, a real contrast to the songs now. And like I said, again, kind of forgot to be listened to a rap album. This definitely has more of the pop side. And even though he's rapping the words a bit, it could be as close to singing them rather than rapping it. But yeah, quite enjoyed it. And again, he's putting this reference about sort of not growing up. So that's why I thought maybe now he's had that relationship and he's now gone away from it. He's just going back and enjoying life. And yeah, do we enjoy everything now effectively? So it has sort of a nice kind of meaning.
Okay.
Oh, that was our thing, sorry, yeah. And I put the sound of music, to me, sounded quite Japanese pop feel to it. I said really took by surprise. So yeah, quite J-pop sounding.
Next up, we had Vivaran hier zwei. So this is the second part, because I did check this out. The first song, Vivaran hier, without the number two, I think was on one of his previous albums.
Okay.
So I was really surprised by this one. This was like an indie style start. This was unlike all other songs on the album. The rap starts after 1 minute, 10 seconds. Had a sort of pop rock indie chorus, sort of rock instrumental. And just an interesting song. I'm not saying I really liked it, but just sort of completely different to anything else we'd heard on the album. The only sort of song on the album that's had like a kind of rock feel to it. In terms of what it was about, possibly reminiscing about the past, and there were no lines I took from it, because again, it wasn't really a rap song. It was just like an indie sort of rock song.
Yeah, so again, if the one before was a surprise, like the sort of what I put J-pop sound, to have this sort of, and I put here, yeah, indie rock style. Again, I had to keep reminding myself, this is meant to be a rap album. So it was a nice surprise, and I actually quite liked it. I think this is probably my favourite track on there, but I do like that style of music. So again, I appreciate what he's trying to do there, but like I said, I can see why things may have got lost throughout there. And yeah, I think it's just about being young and just having fun. Sorry for more of that. I have written a long line from this one here. So sometimes I wish one day would last forever. Think why we were up and getting don't have any fears or losing ourselves, but we will be old at some point. So yeah, again, a bit like the song now. Sure, you can now, because before you know it, you could be old or not happy. So yeah, enjoy life now.
Okay. And the last song then was Melodie. So unusual, this, I guess. The name of the album was the song that was last on the album. So I thought it was a really good start. I was really liking it. The rap was good. The singing was good. The background music fits. I just felt it was lacking something, though, to take it to the next level. Like I say, got off to a really good start. And I wanted it to really kind of, reach a climax. But it didn't. It just kind of stayed the same. So in the end, I was disappointed by it. So like I say, great start, never really progresses. It was still one of the better songs on the album. And I guess in terms of meaning, just about sort of feeling good. The line I took was black on black, Versace dress, the Deutsche Kanye West, nur nicht ganz so arrogant, bin eher so sympathisch niet. So black on black, Versace dress, the German Kanye West, just not as arrogant and more charming and nice. So that's how he described himself. So like German version of Kanye West, just a kind of nicer, sort of charming version of him.
Yeah, I made note of that as well, and I quite like that. And yeah, I think this is actually a nice last song of the album. And I totally get what you're saying. I think it was missing something to propel it more, but it's definitely one of the better ones on there. I said that I quite liked it. It wasn't nothing overly negative against it. So lines I took here so was because I feel so fly when I'm rhyming, I'm far away from the arguments, from any of the stresses, all alone, stay relaxed. So again, all these good feelings, about doing stuff now because whilst you can and stuff, but at the same time, take some chill time. Right? You don't feel, even he's said in the previous song, do everything now because you can, but at the same time, but also don't almost contradict himself. Don't worry, take some chill time, relax, enjoy things as well, and don't let arguments or little petty things bring him down as well. And he also made a reference, he wrote here about big pictures and art attack, which I found really interesting because here in the UK in the 90s, there was a program called Art Attack. And one of the things it was famous for was doing what was known as big pictures, where the presenter Neil Buchanan would go in a big field and with just like sticks or leaves and make a big picture of something that you could only see when you're high up there. So again, I found it really interesting if a young kid from Germany who knows about Art Attack and put reference to it in the song. It seems to be a common theme of the most recent ones we've done, kind of thing. Seem to pick these ones out, and I really want to find out if that's generally the case or if it's just pure coincidence. Either way, if anyone really does know, again, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, in Germany, did you used to watch Art Attack? Let us know. Maybe it was broadcast, in Germany as well. I don't know. Maybe they translated.
Yeah, these could have been art is art, wherever it is, and especially with the big picture ones, because he wasn't ever talking in those. It was just music playing whilst he did his thing. So I can imagine someone just taking snippets of that and broadcasting in Germany potentially. So yeah, if anyone knows about Neil Buchanan's big pictures and Art Attack, let us know.
Okay, so that's the end of the album. So just to sum up quickly, I'd say, yeah, like I said earlier, it wasn't really my thing on the whole. I mean, it kind of could have been. It's kind of what I like, sort of pop, rap. But as I said earlier, I do kind of prefer it when it's separate people doing their own jobs, their own specialities, rather than sort of a whole combination and concoction of things going on. It was still interesting to listen to. I didn't hate it by any means. It was quite sort of light-hearted, A lot of the rap we've been listening to is sort of quite sort of gun and drug heavy, and this wasn't really like that. It was just sort of like I say, lighter, sort of a bit easy. I didn't really understand it. It's only from reading up on the lyrics later. So, yeah, not bad, but I have to be honest, I left a little bit disappointed by it on the whole. But there is that one song that I did like. Like I said, it was I seem to have stolen it from Hey Ma by Cameron. But yeah, that was quite a good song. Brett, what about you?
Yeah, again, sort of what I said there at the start. I think it was just, for me, got a little bit lost. I think I said just trying to do too much pop or not enough rap or vice versa. It definitely was listenable. It's definitely not one of the worst things we've definitely ever listened to. And like I said, I do appreciate, because we always compliment people, per variety in their albums. So got to give credit there as well. And there was a nice surprise with the indie rock one. the really poppy sounding one, and even like the sort of 90s R&B ones there as well. So let's say a couple of songs were quite good. A lot of them could just sort of go past them and not think twice about them. And it could be the odd one or two potential that I could consider on my playlist. So yeah, more appreciate to see another side of German music or German rap as well. So again, his other albums may be, you know, considered one of his not so good albums, and maybe the other stuff is more pop geared or more rap geared in some way. So yeah, not the worst, but a good couple of songs from it.
We'd be all right in like England on like a sort of doing a German rap music quiz, wouldn't we?
I'd like to think so.
Especially compared to the other people.
English as well, though. If it's
as
German,
as long as it's in English and there's no German people there. Okay, so guys, thanks for watching, and see you soon. See you for the next one. Take care. Tschüss.